Welcome to the Ultra Duo. I don't know what I would call it.
Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Base! How low can you go? Death row. What a brother know. Once again, back is the incredible Rhyme Animal.
Does that have to do with anything?
It's Public Enemy. Has everything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Has to do what you do when
Real.
you did.
Okay. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this?
Everybody dance now.
Yo, DJ, fuck this party.
Why waste your time?
You know you're gonna be mine. You know you're gonna be mine. You know you're gonna be mine. I'm gonna miss you, baby. I'm gonna get you, yes I am. You dropped the bomb on me.
All right, now we're going off the rails.
I almost slipped.
Almost slipped on a slippery banana
Make sure you
peel.
don't- So what's up with this Pokemon thing?
I left it there from last.
I know, but don't.
Don't.
Why?
I know, but don't.
You're gonna fall off your chair.
No, I'm not.
Welcome to the Higher Energy Superpower. This is episode 25 of the Turbo Duo cast, a silver anniversary of the Turbo Duo cast.
How was it?
Oh, a 25 piece?
25. I am your host, Salvatore Mata, and to my left is my brother from another game show lover. He is the oral assassin. He puts the ass in classic gaming, everybody. It is Trenton E. Wright the third.
Wanna be my lover.
And we have another special guest today coming up from last episode, and that is Turbo Duo and a
Another
half.
special guest. I've been on every single episode.
Okay, so
Well,
you're not special. There we go. All
You
right.
are not a special
I mean, I'm
person.
special.
You're
but
just
I'm
a
not,
normal,
but I'm not-
everyday
I'm special, but I'm
7-year-old.
not a guest.
Well, you know what? Society might want to tell you that you're special and then also tell you you're not. I just think you're amazing and you're my son. And you are Salvatore Thomas Mata in the building.
Esquire.
You know, this. All right. Well, listen to Jeb there. And, you know, I think this episode is going to be 50% much better because we have the 50% of me, which is Salvatore Thomas Mata. So we're excited to have you here. You excited to be here?
Not really. All right. Great.
I am excited to be here.
You got to fire that out. You got to be ready to go.
You
can't
can't hesitate.
You can't be waiting for
I
it.
want to talk about games.
Look,
I
in
don't
life...
want, I don't want to be sitting around here all day long.
I know,
No.
I understand. But in life, anything you mumble ain't getting done.
That's true. Remember that for life. So, you know, it hasn't been that long. We've been getting a couple episodes out here. So we got our last
I
episode
said,
out,
nobody knows it but me.
which is more of a pickups episode. But you know what? We had a couple of pickups today. So, you know, we might as well talk about it. It won't be a large segment.
From
But
Game Exchange.
let's talk about some pickups.
I'm a fan of large segments, though.
Listen, I know that I know that you are, but sometimes you got to be versatile, Trent.
I'm versatile.
Right,
That's how
well,
I like to pronounce it.
I think you are as well. So since you are so versatile, would you like to defer and let Salvatore go first and show us his first pickup he'd like to talk about?
Normally, I'd like to do a coin flip and
Yeah.
then defer, you know.
I think the people would love that.
Tails or Knuckles?
But off camera.
Did you hear what he just said?
I heard.
They need a coin like that.
We,
Tails or Knuckles.
Yeah,
That's
we
good.
did a rock paper scissors off camera. And,
And he won.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
What
let's
did
do it right now.
what he beat you with? Straight flush.
Oh no, he came with the paper. I came with the rock. You know.
Yeah, you got to go with the rock, baby.
Yeah.
You know. So, all right. Well, Salvatore, you have a few things in front of you. Some game related, some not game related. But
But
you know
you
what?
could find
This
a
is
way to make it game related.
This is a fun podcast more than anything else. So tell us what do you got in your little picnic basket there that you'd like to talk about? Pick an item.
Hey, boo boo, I got a big nickel basket.
You need to pick up the microphone because you got to be talking and telling the people.
I don't know what to choose yet.
Well,
So how about
know
you
what?
just start from the top, or don't?
I think.
Whatever. I'll do this last.
Okay.
Or do you want me to go
So
first?
yeah. So I mean, you can.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, you got it. Pick it up.
Whatever you want to do.
One of our favorite somewhat modern systems is the Wii U. I think we've.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
I think we've talked about it, Trent. Probably.
I'm not talking about it.
You need to be quiet right now. I think we've talked about it on the podcast how the Wii U is sort of like a modern, almost a retro console in the way that it is really just a games machine.
A gamesman.
And when I say machine, I mean that in all senses of the word. Like,
We'll talk about
like
this.
a machine, as in like it just plays really games, and then it's also got a phenomenal amount of phenomenal games, relative to the size of the phenomenal library of the phenomenal Wii U.
So it's like AJ Styles.
It's so AJ Styles they should have a AJ Styles edition of the Wii U.
The phenomenal
The edition
Wii U.
of the Wii U,
Yeah.
exactly. And it should do like some kind of weird moonsault off of the ropes.
Yeah.
You know,
A Hagushi Roshi.
one of those exactly. I don't know. I don't even know if that's a real move,
Then can I do
but
this
I'm gonna
first?
assume
It's
that
half
it
a
is.
real move. I
Can I do
can't
this
pronounce the
first?
actual name
Okay.
of it.
Then can I do these
The
two?
Hagushi
Podcast
Roshi
etiquette,
or-
Sal.
Then
You
can I-
can't be talking over us while we're talking.
But can I do these two first?
Sure, go ahead.
I need to get them.
I just talked about the Wii U, so you need to talk about the game.
There's no rules here, you know.
You need to talk about the game you have on Wii U. Go ahead, tell the people.
The game.
And what game is it?
The games.
Dead air means clicks to other videos, Salvatore.
Can you hold the mic
Sure,
for
I'll
me?
hold the mic. You show the people. What is the game you want
Yo,
to
you
show
could
them?
take the mic home with you.
No, why?
Show them.
The Amazing Spider-Man for the Wii U, and
Nope.
no, I won't do it. Whatever, fine, whatever.
I don't know what's going on. I missed it.
He wanted to show the other game.
Oh
at
no!
the same
Yeah,
time.
one at a time, player.
So
one
what's-
at a time.
So what's what's notable about the Amazing Spider-Man, Sal?
Wait, is it as the title says? Is it amazing?
Yes.
I think amazing is a word in this hyperbolic society that we live in, where everything is
Hyperbolic.
amazing and legendary and epic. I wouldn't say that it's amazing, but I would say it is very competent and fun.
You think that
Yes.
would help sell it if it was just called a very competent Spider-Man?
Listen, when they say Amazing Spider-Man, they're not talking about the game. They're saying that's the name of the game. It doesn't mean that the game. This amazing game, The Amazing Spider-Man. It's just the game, The Amazing Spider-Man. So Spider-Man's amazing. The game remains to be seen, right? So we played through the first bit of this. Again, this is not a retro game, but we do love the Wii U. And Salvatore's, you're Spider-Man crazy now, right? Yeah.
And superhero crazy.
Yeah, all
What was
superhero
it?
crazy.
Oh, superhero.
Right. And how do you like this game so far?
It is.
What do you like about this game so far?
It's got Spider-Man. That's all it needs, really.
No, that's not all I like about it.
Well, say,
I know.
tell the people.
I
why you
mean,
like
I
it.
do like the last Spider-Man, but it's kind of cool that they have like the creatures in this game.
What kind
that,
of creatures?
Like, scorpions, these like guys that like try to attack you, like these gorilla creature like with like these tails and like
So they're like cross humans and cross animals
yeah, like they put a cross between a rhino
and a person?
and a person to make Rhino, like the bad guy Rhino.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a pretty cool game, and so there's like this infection that other people can get, and then the whole city can get
Gwen
infected.
Stacy got it.
So it's all about kind of working with Dr. Connors and
That
eliminating the virus.
He got turned into the lizard.
Yeah, it basically prophesied COVID essentially is what this game did. So
Oh, good for them.
about 9 years early. So a lot of fun. I honestly think that the new Spider-Man game, the newer Spider-Man game on PS4, takes a lot of hints from this game. Sort of that open world type Spider-Man game. More high fidelity, and that sort of that Batman type action where you're there's sort of button prompts
What's
you're
cool about him anymore?
About who?
Batman.
I mean, everything's cool about Batman.
Batman's always cool. He's the most cool because he's
just your everyday guy.
yeah.
He doesn't technically have any superpowers.
Right.
He just flies those bat
And
rings.
he's so cool, he actually has his own term for what people do when they leave parties unannounced.
What are you doing? I'm Batman.
And he lives in the shadows. So, Amazing Spider-Man, Nice pickup. Good job, Sal.
Knocked it out of the park.
Yep, knocked it out of the park. Why don't you, Uncle Trent, why don't you pick us up and tell us a little bit about what you got?
Well, I only got one game.
That's okay. That's cool.
But it was a surprise. It was a surprise.
We weren't sure. We were coming back from Little Sal's soccer game, and lo and behold, across the way was a video game store.
Lost.
But first, we became Costco members.
We did become Costco members today, everybody. I highly recommend it if you like to spend money.
Right.
So,
even though you'll save a lot.
You'll save a lot by spending a lot. I don't know how that works, but that's
how they get you.
Right.
You don't know how it works, but it just sounds nice.
Save more here.
Yeah, that's the name of the store.
Which really means spend more here, right? I mean, but Liz got a $20 gift card for being a registered nurse, so
that's all that matters.
So that
Where,
helped us.
Costco?
So
Yeah.
that bought us the AA batteries, which we're going to need for our Wiimotes. So,
Copper tops all day.
So, and our Nintendo double team. What's the multi-tap for the what's the wireless controllers for the Acclaim?
Oh, I don't know what
double team or whatever.
Pause. I don't.
Not
I
the
don't-
pause button again.
I don't know. I don't know what they were called. I mean,
just
I thought you were
told
going
you
with the
that
Force
we
Score.
had those.
We had those. We had the Acclaim double player.
They would advertise them with the WrestleMania game. He was like on the couch behind it, like whoa.
Yeah, which it's IR, so it's got to be like aligned perfectly.
You have to be standing directly in front of it.
I don't know why we own that, but we had that as a kid, and it never really worked well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
It
was a novel concept
ahead of its time.
The controller sucked. The controller itself,
because
they
they were their own active.
It wasn't a Nintendo
it was
controller.
Acclaim,
and it was bigger. Like it was bigger in your hands. And as a 7-year-old, it's not really.
Yeah.
So good idea, way ahead of its time. Sort of like the Interactor.
Well, no. I see where your head's at.
What's the wearable? What's the
the Aura Interactor.
That was the Aura Interactor,
which was just a backpack with a speaker on it.
Yeah, that vibrated.
No, it didn't even vibrate. It was literally just a speaker.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a backpack with the speaker.
It was just you would turn it up so it would vibrate your body.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's a whole nother. I do remember seeing that, and I wanted it.
See that on our peripheral episode.
Yeah. Our side piece episode. Yeah, so we stopped into a game exchange that we didn't know existed, which is kind of like the local game store in Connecticut. There's like 5 or 6 of them. Game exchange I frequent very, very many times.
But
a week.
down your way though.
Yeah. Which, because on the last pickups episode, was most of the stuff I picked up was from the game exchange. So we had to we pulled a quick U-turn, almost hit a few people, but we got in. And apparently it just opened a few months ago, and they had
very nice. The nicest game exchange in terms of the people and the employees that I've ever seen.
Just a swell crew.
But that makes an experience, So it was really it was refreshing to have that type of experience.
Yeah, they had a solid stack of games,
Solid stack. I don't know how impressive it was compared to what I've seen at other game stores, but it was respectable.
Also, I didn't notice.
It was respectable.
All the other ones I've been to, they have a glass case, unless I didn't see it there, where they keep like the extra expensive ones.
Yep, they didn't.
I
have
didn't
that.
see it.
No.
Yeah,
but I was just surprised to see like they had a stack of Saturn games that were all loose in like sort of those DVD cases, and the way that this game store does it, I don't know how they do it where you guys live in your part of the country, but they don't charge a different price if it's loose or if it's complete, which is bizarre to me because that seems.
But sometimes it works in your favor too.
Correct if it's complete, but it's a lower
because I picked
price.
up a lot of in-box games for like
for
a
what
couple
it would
bucks.
go for what it would go loose, right?
Yeah.
But like Alien Trilogy, even if Alien Trilogy, and it was loose, but they had it in one of those DVD cases with like a printed cover art. But that game for Saturn, even if it was complete, it was $80, which is just nuts because it was going for $20 2 years ago.
So was everything else.
It's just wild. It's just wild. So they did have like a couple of cases, but they didn't have one of the standing ones.
Yeah, just the regular at the register, or what do you want? The cash wrap glass cases, yeah, where they keep the marginally priced games,
Right. But
anything that's not a sports game, basically.
There's usually a standing like a standing
yeah.
case. I know what you mean. That's got extra stuff.
It's got an aura around it.
Yeah, it's not even the spillover. It's like the gold games. You know what I mean? Like the most desirable games. You know, anything. If you see anything there under $50, it's usually rare. You know, meaning rare to see a game in there that's under that price.
Yeah.
Normally, it's like 50 to hundreds, whatever. You know. They got Misadventures of Tron Bon in there for like whatever that goes for.
Who?
I'll tell you when you're older. Go ahead.
You're not quite ready. So my one game pickup is a Platinum Plus puzzle game
That's not even arguable.
for for the Sega Genesis. Is Columns 3.
If you didn't enjoy enough columns before,
There's
imagine
more.
how much more fun you'll have in not the sequel, but the third columns.
Yeah.
Imagine how many more jewel combinations you can do. What makes columns 3 more interesting than columns 1?
Well, they did. They have a 4-player mode in it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And so it's a battle. It's like a 4-person.
You know how
battle?
they did like the Tetris battle? Yeah, same kind of deal. I've never played Columns 3. I don't know if it was on. I played it on like the little portable Genesis thing I used to have. I think it was Columns 2. I don't know if there was like some kind of weird story mode in Columns 2 or not, where like they'd show like in the middle of the screen there'd be like a little picture and it would show like the spider or like different like enemies or something like that. I don't know if you're familiar with columns like that at all. I mean, I love the puzzle games. Anything like Tetris kind of related I'm into. I mean, first of all, it was only $8.
Oh, was it only $8?
Yeah, $8.
Oh, all right.
Complete with the game and the manual.
You got the heavy. You got the heavy in there. That's
Yeah. I mean,
nice.
It's a if you're into puzzle games like Tetris, I mean, this was Genesis's version of a Tetris. It wasn't never became as popular, but
it was.
It's a solid playthrough.
It was so good that Sega decided to not publish it and give it to Vic Tokai.
Vic Tokai. You're not a fan of columns, I take it. It's a long pause. You're just trying to break down. Fan? Am I a fan?
It's not that I don't like it. It's just that there's like 500 games I'd rather play.
No. So you're saying there's a chance.
Like if I was somewhere stranded and I had no other game to play, I might decide to play columns. I might decide to
Like if it was just
daydream.
like on the sidewalk all mangled.
Yeah,
You'd be like,
it's like either it's
do I want to actually physically put the game in the Genesis?
That's the question. So it's I guess that tells you how I feel about columns. But I mean, it also tells you how Sega feels about columns because they didn't like the game enough that they actually had Vic Tokai publish it.
I mean, Vic Tokai, they're solid.
No, they're not.
I mean, they could be.
Okay, what's a better publisher, Data East or Vic Tokai?
I mean, look at all the
Damn,
deals.
what's a better publisher, Jalico or Vic Tokai?
Jalico. I mean, but there's jewels and rubies. Those are big in the 90s.
Look at the dude on the front.
I know. I was just gonna mention that. I mean, this is the progenitor of Bejeweled.
Look at that guy.
He looks so crazy.
He's got his 90s like long
Haircut.
sleeve like turtleneck like with the sleeves rolled up kind of looking.
You got to put that in here.
The stonewashed jeans and the tight Reeboks. And
Look at this hair.
I would just assume he's someone that worked on the game. I mean, good for him though, right? He's on a Genesis box. That's something to brag about to all the boys.
The fact that it's a 4-player game is kind of cool. I do like that feature because the thing about columns that I always Tetris on its own is fun. Like you could play a 1-player game with Tetris and have a great time. Columns is the kind of game where it's like it's almost not worth it if you're by yourself.
That's your opinion.
Right. But if it's competitive and it's like, okay, there's something between the 4 players, where, maybe it's just a race to see who can last the longest, or, maybe if you get enough combinations, you spill over more jewels to the other characters or something like that. I could find more fun in that and that type of thing as like a party.
Maybe we'll
game.
have to do a columns challenge next time we have like 5 people.
We have 4 people. Why can't we do it?
Who's 4?
Mommy.
We've got 4 in the building.
She's gonna be like, boring.
If I think it's boring, right? Well, if I think it's boring, she'll probably like it. That's just usually how it goes. But I mean, you know what? It's a notable pickup though, because Columns is a game that is kind of important to the, the Sega.
No, it's not.
Sort of timeline in the way that.
No.
You having fun? Yeah.
At least one of us is.
Yeah. It's notable only for the fact that it was the answer to Tetris that was not ever going to be as good.
Oh no, I understand that.
I
like it though.
I'm glad you like it. I mean, because if you like it, that means that there's other people that like it.
It's actually like a $20-$25 game, like complete.
Game Exchange is a great place to get some stuff. So, I'm gonna run through what I got, which is I didn't get really any games.
Boom, boom, boom. You got everything but a game.
Yeah, I got controllers, and I got listen. There's not that many games really left that I really want.
I understand.
So
we're in the same boat with different paddles, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, yours looks like a question mark.
Yeah, my paddle's a fork. Water goes right through it.
So they had a bin of just like loose manuals and cover arts, which I never see cover arts.
That's probably like the most fun thing to flip through, like the loose stuff.
It's the most exciting. It's the most exciting because you just don't know. It's like what's gonna be in here.
It's like you're never really looking for anything in particular when you're looking through.
And you go, that's where you go. Ooh, it's like they have something that's interesting.
Because you always expect just garbage.
Right. Right, exactly. So they had a bunch of really, cool manual type stuff. So
look at it. Why can't I look at it?
Because I don't want.
It's not your turn.
Right. Yeah. So they had. I thought this was interesting. So I speaking of columns, they actually had this cover art and manual, which I've never seen this version of it. I don't know if they had a couple of them or if this is how the greatest hits was on the PlayStation, but. It's a game I have on the Saturn, and who knows? Maybe I'll own it eventually on the PlayStation. But it's the back cover, and the manual for Tetris Plus,
with the gold foil.
Speaking of Jalico as well, this is published by Jalico, but it has like this gold foil center. Not that really matters, but I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah. It might have been the tipping point for me picking it up. Who knows?
I mean, what was it? $1?
It was $1. Everything I'm going to show you here was $1 a piece. So there's that. Today is our horror episode. Obviously, if you've clicked on this, you've seen that we're going to be talking about Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and maybe at the end we'll chat possibly about some of our favorite Halloween games.
Yes.
One of the games it's in the conversation for me is this game. It was the first survival horror game that I ever played. And I played it on this platform. This is the exact manual that I had. I don't own it currently, which is sad. But
very sad.
That manual is for Resident Evil 2.
Look at that. Ain't that something?
For $1, not bad, right? Can't argue with that.
Yeah, that's like the value is like a $15, $20 manual.
Oh, this manual?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Pretty sweet. PlayStation's answer to Mario Party, Crash Bash.
Crash Bandicoot.
Right? Am I right about that?
I hope so.
I think Crash Bash is like a party style.
It's Crash Bandicoot.
Okay. I was thinking it was a fighting game for some reason.
It might be.
But you might be right. I'm not familiar with the Crash games besides the first Bandicoot. I mean, he's on his pogo stick. I don't know what that means. That can mean anything.
It says that there's an adventure game.
Is there any screenshots of the game?
Want to bash with Crash? Yeah.
Good thing we know what we're talking about here, huh?
The adventure game. Warp rooms and warp portals. Arena competition. Gem and crystal challenges.
You should just look at the controller layout, see what the buttons do. If it's like punch or if it's just like actions.
It doesn't say that there's like a game board, so I think it might be just like the mini games.
Like a collect, yeah. Like
competitive
games.
Think like the mini games.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But no board. Maybe. I love being ignorant about like certain games.
Hey, why not? Hey, that's all surprises we got.
I can't know everything about everything. But anyways, it's one of those like Crash Team Racing. Like one of those Crash offshoots.
No, I know. I mean that gives it away though. That tells you what it is. Crash Team Racing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Crash Bash.
Let me scoop that manual real quick.
Yep. This one I do want to get. I do want to get this game. I actually bought it on the PlayStation Network, which is more like renting it. But they didn't have the manual, but they had the cover art, both front and back, for Parasite Eve, actually, which is pretty neat. Sort of like an action RPG from Square. Right around the time that Final Fantasy VII came out, maybe after that. It looks like it included a collector's CD for Final Fantasy VIII. A little demo for that. So. Yeah, one of those games, just there's so many games, when you're a kid and there's so many games that are coming out, you really have to make choices. I mean, you remember that. Remember like making your Christmas list. It was like how many games you wanted, but yet you were like, okay, I know I'm probably only going to get like 2 games.
Yeah, because that's like 60 each. Yeah. It's like $100-something.
So that's how it was in my house. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get 2 games. Like what? I got to figure out what 2 games. Like
I can't handle all this pressure.
Yeah, and you just remember like going through the EGMs and just being like, okay, I can skip that one. I can skip that one. Like I want this one, but I probably can skip it. Like Parasite Eve was one of those games for me where it was like,
I'd be like, yeah, well, okay, I can get this one from my mom and dad. I can ask my grandma for this other one, and then I can ask my grandpa for that one.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd be strategic. You'd be like, okay, like how am I going to divvy this up? Right?
Yeah, like I have them get maybe like a cheaper game, maybe like a Game Boy game.
But it's not it's not a bad idea because like that's a great way for you to build skills in terms of like bargaining, right? Like how do I fit all the pieces? Like it's almost like currency to you. Your gift was like currency. It was how do I get what I want with the resources that I have?
How do I get the most value?
When I say resources, I mean family members.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You actually don't have anything.
Yeah,
you have no bargaining tools in this.
Love and being their family relation is your bargaining tool. And then the last thing I got, I love, almost those
brochures or
period booklets of like, what was going on at a specific time for a specific console. And so they just had like this PlayStation booklet, which is, it's pretty thick. It includes a lot of information on some of the games. I'm guessing this is like a 1997.
Yeah, because I had all the 98 sports games.
Yeah, like maybe mid 97, which was right when PlayStation like really, really, really started to take over. Like that's at that point the Saturn had been really relegated, put to dirt. There wasn't even a question at that point. PlayStation was like, okay, they've eaten everything, and now they are primed for like expansion, just crazy growth. And one of the games in here that it probably sounds a little silly, but the most prominent game for me in this booklet was NFL Game Day '98, which I was clamoring for Christmas that year for 1997, and we ended up getting it, and I thought it was amazing. It was the first 3D Game Day game that they came out with. Yeah, so it was just like, and of course it's just blocky as all ever. But
we're talking about '97, huh?
Yeah, but it was awesome. We loved it, and it's actually now that I think of it, it's one that I'd like to pick up. So, and those were my pickups. But I mean, for $5 I got all that.
Yeah, no, so, I mean, you can't beat it.
No,
if you need them,
So for $5, I spent $30 on everything that Sal got plus this.
No. Like, how much was this thing?
No, this was 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So go ahead, show the people your new action figure, Sal.
No, I want to do this first.
Okay.
You need to pick up your microphone and tell them though. You're good at singing when it's not your turn, but
okay.
When it's your turn to talk, you're not actually picking up the microphone.
Just leaves it on the table.
Since everybody that watches probably watched our last video when we were talking about all the Spider-Man stuff that I was wanting to show.
Now you have
and
more Spider-Man stuff.
And now I have one of the Spider-Man, what do you call them?
Far From Home mini...
it's one of the black Spider-Mans.
Yeah, standing figurines.
Yeah.
Which looks exactly like a Foot Clan soldier from Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, so this looks like the undercover
brother
Spider-Man. Actually, this character,
we play as him.
This costume actually is in the Spider-Man video game for PS4.
Yeah, we play as him.
I forget what it's called, but it's the undercover incognito Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
Like, what is it? I just don't even understand what that is. It like a series that it goes to? Does it connect to?
I don't understand these capsule figurines. What is up with this?
Maybe it was one of the mystery boxes. You know, the
Could be.
little boxes, and you open it up, and it's got
Yeah.
the figure in it. And I think they like stack on each other, so you can like display them.
Oh, is
they
that
all
how it
like
is?
they all like connect on top of each other. Maybe.
Oh, I see it because there's like a little divot underneath.
Yeah.
And there's this up top, so you can stack them on top of one.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dave, I saw Mysterio. I saw Wonder Woman.
Why didn't you get those?
Sorry.
Yeah. You really failed me, bro. I'm just kidding. This is fine. You picked the Spider-Man one, which is really
It's like
cool.
a couple bucks probably.
We can always go back. Hey, listen, it's a great reason to go back, right? Maybe we can convince mommy to go back. What do you think?
Yeah, you have to go to
Yeah.
Costco next week
Yeah.
or something anyway.
I'm sure. Well, you know,
you
spend
got
another
the card.
$300.
You got to go. You know?
Yeah,
That's how it
absolutely.
works.
You know?
Chick-fil-A
That's how they get
again.
you, you know.
It's calling
all
to
this.
us.
Yeah, you know, it's like, well, I
calling
have
to
the
us.
card, and if I'm not going, then I'm wasting it. You know. You know, that's how they get you.
I don't think of it as such, but you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, can I do my last thing?
Why don't you do your last thing, and then Uncle Trent will do his last thing, and then we'll get into the main topic.
His last thing?
We're-
Okay.
yeah, all our last
Dave,
things.
Dave, what is it
were
called?
everlasting.
Dave, what is it called? The play something?
Playmation.
I have a Playmation Avengers Ultron
Ultron.
that
He looks really cool.
yeah. He has his tentacles and
He looks like kind of like Doc Ock.
yeah, but he has 3 tentacles, not 4.
I got 3 of them. Those look pretty cool, though. I'll give you that.
It comes like this set. It comes with 3 guys. It's supposed to come with 3 guys, and it comes with like these punching gloves, and like the character gets on a platform. And
Oh, in the game?
And like he's going all around the room, and you gotta punch him.
Load Ultron onto a power activator.
Like
Put on
Yeah,
your
it's
Avenger
their
gear
version
and
of-
battle and the ultimate villain.
Yeah, it's their version of Skylanders. Or like the Disney.
What is it for?
I saw them too there.
I think there's a game. I think
I
there's a
saw them
game.
there.
Like a whole series.
Yeah, I saw them there.
Okay, so. But what is it like? What system is it for?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. Maybe it might be
Oh, wait a
Universal.
minute. It says download on the App Store or Android app on Google Play. So this is like for phones?
Hello, ET phone home. I guess you have the base just like Skylanders where you tap it on and it, and whatnot.
But we need like the punching gloves that fight.
Oh yeah, you definitely need the punching gloves now that you have that.
Well, we need that in the activator. For
They're
the
at,
Sega.
they're at Game
Now you have 437 Spider-Man figures.
Okay, I am done. Thank you very much.
All right, see you later.
Awesome.
Okay. Come on.
Do we have any left? Anything left before we get into
I mean, I guess yeah.
the main topic? You might as well.
So yeah,
They're actually
these-
pretty sweet. I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, so I just
Yeah.
happened to be looking through the action figure stuff,
I
and
mean, since we're talking about video games,
something caught my eye out of the corner and was hiding behind a few ones, and I saw the Run DMC logo, so I knew it had to be good. And unfortunately, there's only 2. I don't have the whole trio of Run DMC, but I do have a Jam Master J Toys R Us exclusive.
you might as well talk about both of them.
You know, I know, I am. Right. I got Jam Master J, and I have Daryl DMC. Unfortunately, there was no Rev Run. I'd even asked them if maybe they had seen it, or they said the person who brought
They
him in.
literally look the same.
No, they don't. I even asked if they had if they had the other one or if they had known, but they said the person that brought him in only had 2, which seems kind of odd. That they would have these and only have 2. Maybe they just kept one or whatever. But I wasn't even really into them. But I just was like, I gotta have them. They're only $12 each too.
What is it about? So I'm guessing there's another. This series was carried to other places. What makes the
Toys R Us?
this Toys R Us?
The Toys R Us exclusive. They have their red jumpsuits, and then the regular ones were in their black jumpsuits.
Weren't they? Isn't the red like this? Isn't that the one that everybody knows?
For Run DMC,
I remember the red ones. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering.
But unfortunately, they didn't have the full Adidas license for these, so they only got the 2 stripes.
That's all right.
And they got the fake crowns on the Adidas the shell toes with only 2 stripes.
Oh, I like that.
Which makes it even better.
They look like
Those crowns look like they come from something else. Actually,
He's got his gold mic, and then Jam Master J has his little record. There's no like turntable, but he's got a record. I don't know, man. They're just pretty cool. I think this company came out with a bunch of different like hip hop figures. These are from 2002. I think the same company that came out with the Biggie figures. They're kind of like in this like, I don't know, overdrawn like, I don't know how to describe them. Like they look like cartoon characters, kind of.
Yeah, they kind of look a little cartoony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just something cool to pick up. They're only $12 each.
I actually think so. It's funny because these don't look like traditional action figures. They actually look like something completely different. Like they're like special because how often do you see like they even got the glasses that are separate? It looks like, and maybe even the hat.
Yeah, and they got their gold chains.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you can tell that there was some extra love put into.
I mean, it would have been nice to have all three of them, you know,
well,
have the whole group.
Eventually, you will.
Well, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Solid pickups.
Yeah. So, I was gonna ask you a question about that. I can't remember.
About Run DMC.
Oh, which are these? One of these guys passed away, right?
Yeah, Jam Master Jay.
Jam Master Jay.
He was murdered.
Oh, he was murdered.
Yeah, don't you remember? This was in high school.
Oh, it was way back then.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was like 2002, actually, when these came out, probably.
Oh, okay.
They came in, bum rushed him in the studio. Still don't know who did it.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember that at all?
No, that's sad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because you think about like rap history and how these guys were like firmly planted at the beginning, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, those are really cool pieces.
Run DMC.
Yeah.
I'm the king of rock. There is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire.
I just remember that Aerosmith video when we were growing up.
Obviously, Walk This Way.
Walk This Way with,
the
with him
Millennium.
crashing through the
That
bricks.
was on the Millennium Hip Hop Hits CD.
Yeah. Oh man, the Millennium Hip Hop's.
I feel like everyone had that CD.
Yeah. Wow, I forgot about that.
That purple, purple cover. It was like metallic purple.
I forgot about it. I was gonna say like silvery almost. But.
Yeah, no, but it was like purple. Though.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
What are we gonna talk about?
Well, we're gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna be back after these messages from a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Y'all ready for this? Get ready for Jock Jams, the hottest crowd pumping sports jams ever.
Come, baby, baby, come, come.
You're unbelievable.
Unbelievably hot songs guaranteed to make you sweat. Pump up the volume on Jock Jams. Get out of your seat and into the jam. Don't miss the greatest crowd pumping hits ever from TSN, Tommy Boy, and Quality. Get Jock Jams and Jock Rock Volumes 1 and 2 in stores now.
Feels like the first time.
Well, welcome back, everybody. So,
Unfortunately, Salvatore Jr. is no longer with us.
got caught by a 3DS bug, and so he's on the Nintendo floor, and hopefully he'll pull through.
As Charles Barkley say, he's in timeout.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, you ruined it.
Nope. You're breaking the fourth wall.
There goes the show.
Well, as you guys have seen, this is our Halloween episode, and Halloween is such a special time of the year. You know why Halloween is a special time? Because it kicks off the holiday season, and it
jump starts it.
For as much as Halloween is that sort of dread holiday, where it's in terms of the playful sort of horror theme, it really is the start of the season of celebration for most people. That you're celebrating the year, right?
Because then you got Thanksgiving, then you got Christmas. Boom, boom, boom.
So you go through this progression, and it's amazing to me that 2021 is in the fourth quarter at this point.
Like Patrick Ewing in the fourth quarter.
Right. It just seems like this year has gone by so fast, at least for me. I don't know about for you, probably the same thing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It just seems like
zoomed by.
It seems like a year that has really flown by, and maybe more than some other years. I don't know. As we get older, I think the years go by faster and faster. It's that whole, take your number of years on the earth and divide by one, and it's right. It's smaller and smaller every single year. But anyways, it feels fast. But you know what?
It's just a great time to be alive.
It's a really fun time. Fall is a great time, especially here in the Northeast. With the leaves changing and just that feeling in the air, that smell in the air of the leaves and the trees. And
you know what it is? Oh, it's arrogance.
Oh yeah. Wait. You smell that? Yeah, it's a power bomb.
That's a power bomb.
That's a power bomb.
It was one of the two. It was either arrogance or a power bomb.
Yeah, of course. So, what better way to ring in our Halloween episode than to talk about a very unique game that was a huge part of our childhoods. And I can't say I never owned this game,
Neither did I.
but it was always around.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a game that a lot of people had. You went to your friend's house, and it was one of those Halloween fixtures. And you didn't have to play it during Halloween, but because of the nature of the game, because of the premise of the game, because of the inspiration of the game, it really falls in that Halloween motif. And
It just kind of like created its own momentum, which were a lot of games.
It really did.
Because most of the time you didn't even know like where it came from. Just someone ended up having it. They don't know why they had it, and then it was just like, oh, this is the game.
Well, I think one of the reasons was that and the game is Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Everybody. So that's there we go. Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
And of course we have the Genesis version.
Of course we have the Genesis version. And of course it's funny because the guy who created the game, Mike Ebert, actually says we started work on the Super Nintendo version. And then 6 months later, we started the Genesis one. But, after all of that, the Genesis one is the one you want to play if you can. That was his comment.
Yeah, even he's admitting, huh?
Yeah.
No bias,
He
huh?
said if there's one you want to go back to, it's the Genesis version. So, but I think the reason why that, just as you were talking about, that people would, have this game is because it's published by Konami. Which, if you can see that
it would just happen to be in that era where it was just like everything that Konami
produced turned to gold.
Yeah, I mean, and also it's just everything about the game. I mean, obviously the gameplay and the game itself, but like the cover art, everything about it.
Look at the cover art. I mean, it's
like that '60s style zombie,
right?
It
looks like a Norman Bates, Scream, You
got the black and white girl on the bottom,
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead type of a motif. So it's intriguing in that way, and it looks like a character action game, and so anybody could really fall into this. It's 2-player. So it checks those boxes off.
It hit everything you needed
of the things you would need to actually make a purchase. So, and then when you played the game, of course, it had that Konami quality. But did you know, Trent?
I probably didn't.
This is not a Konami game.
I got you.
I mentioned that Mike Ebert made the game. Last I checked, Mike Ebert isn't a Japanese name.
And no relationship to Siskel.
None. And that I know of. But this is a LucasArts game.
I don't remember that at all until we booted it up earlier today.
Yeah, so Mike Ebert is the guy who produced the game, and what's funny is that Zeke is the playable boy in the game, and it makes so much sense because I was looking at Zeke and saying, he looks so familiar. What is it that I've seen him, a character like him in? And of course, we have on the NES, we have Maniac Mansion, which is one of the games that Mike worked on before he.
It's funny because I was going to talk about Maniac Mansion later too.
Okay, well we can talk about Maniac Mansion, but he looks like one of the characters from there, and so it makes sense that Mike made both games because Zeke is a character that looks like he came from an adventure game.
Just Konami took all the credit. Basically, they just slapped their name on it.
Konami was responsible for distribution, publication.
They had the purse, as they say. They funded it,
and they had the distribution. They had the distribution. I mean, when you think about LucasArts or Lucasfilm or Lucas Games, right? Lucas had Kenner, right, making the figures, right? So it wasn't Lucas that had the distribution channels. I mean, when we think about back then, at one point Tonka was producing Sega products before the Genesis with the Master System because Sega didn't have the channels in terms of the marketing channels and being able to disperse their product. Tonka did because Tonka had products that were ubiquitous in the marketplace, and Konami had the relationships. Lucasfilm didn't maybe necessarily to the retailers.
It's also, Konami's, I mean, they were like iconic then too. So it's like if you see that logo, it was like an instant purchase, Right. Lucasfilms, not so much.
Right. So, I don't know where we want to start with this whole thing in terms of, talking about the game. I don't want to go too much into that. I really want to just kind of focus on what makes the game great, in terms of our opinions of it. But what's great about one of the great things about Zombies Ate My Neighbors is how unique it is. There's really nothing. I mean, can you think of a game that's kind of like this game?
2-player
that is
top down,
independent of it?
maze. I mean, I guess this is like a stretch, but maybe kind of like Gauntlet.
So I actually wrote down here. It's funny. It's funny how it's funny because
It's a funny thing.
So what Mike said, Mike Ebert, the guy who made the game, is he was really inspired by Robotron, Robotron and Smash TV. Those are the two games that inspired him with this game. They were making a lot of adventure games, but the way I see this game is it's a Gauntlet meets like Defender with a touch of like Paperboy.
Defender?
And when I say Defender, I mean is you have to get to the people and save them.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Before the enemies take them.
Right.
And then the aspect of Paperboy is same thing with the victims so you are a character who's trying to save the neighbors in the neighborhood, and so you need to get to them and touch them before they get absolved by the enemies.
As soon as they appear on the screen, they can get taken away.
So if you quiet over there. So if you don't get them before the enemy gets them, then they don't exist in the next level. So you have one less neighbor to save. And so that's like Paperboy in the way that if you miss a
house,
then you lose that house for the next round, that next day.
Yeah, and if you get down to a certain amount.
But to me, it's more Gauntlet than it is anything else in terms of the maze and going through and defeating enemies. Yes, there's no enemy generators, but enemies can just kind of pop out of the ground. So it's not like they're really. It's enemy generation exists. It doesn't need to have a generator for that to case. So I agree with you. I think this game reminds me more of Gauntlet than it does of Robotron or or Smash TV, because those are room to room. This actually has more. I would argue there's more like Pac-Man in this because you're dealing with a maze.
Yeah, I mean, and it is like a lot of like up and down, left, right. Kind of that Pac-Man style board.
Right, exactly. So, it's a unique game, and it's one of those things too that a game, gameplay is king, right? As we talk about, but games themselves can be elevated to a new status when you include what I call the flair, right? It's all of the sound effects, it's all of the atmosphere, right? And this game has all of that in spades. So this whole game is a firmly, tongue planted in cheek horror, horror homage to all of those movies that these guys grew up watching. You think about the Wolfman and Frankenstein and the Mummy, right? All of these old iconic, let's say Universal style characters were included for the most part in this game, and it's like I said, it's just a parody of all of the old horror games, and it just becomes a really fun romp. And they include even like the titles of the levels are sort of plays off of old monster movies.
I mean, not even too, because there's
some are not. Some are not.
One level, Weird Kids on the Block,
right?
Which is based on New Kids on the Block.
Exactly.
It's the most '90s thing you could do in a game,
right? Exactly.
I mean, that was kind of some of the fun of even getting to the next level. Like, what's the next level called?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, just a couple of the level names. We can just go down.
I printed them all out. We're just gonna read through them one by one. So,
Evening of the Dead. Right.
This is like Chris Jericho reading his 1,001 holds.
I'm not gonna read all of them. So there's
armbar.
There's 48 independent levels.
You know what's funny? Because on the back of the Genesis one, it says there's 55 levels on the box.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. If you seed it right there.
Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bonus levels. Six bonus levels.
So there probably is 55.
54.
Well, I'm assuming there's some other one.
Maybe the boss.
So it doesn't.
Boss fight,
so the bonus levels doesn't count. So I guess it is. There's like 55.
So 54, 55 levels.
Yeah.
It's funny. The bonus level after level 1 is called Day of the Tentacle, which is a game that is an adventure game by the guy who made Psychonauts. I forget what his name is, but Day of the Tentacle is an adventure game like Grim Fandango or Secret of Monkey Island, which are games that actually Mike Ebert actually worked on Secret of Monkey Island.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I forget the guy who's we'll have to put it in here, the guy who made Day of the Tentacle. But Day of the Tentacle is a game that came out before this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Yes, I mean,
and it's
that I wouldn't know.
And I think it's a Lucasfilm game, so they actually made a level called Day of the Tentacle.
Would you look at that?
Yep.
So many Easter eggs.
Yep, absolutely. Toxic terrors, weeds gone bad. Mars needs cheerleaders. That's a funny one because Mars Attacks came out, I think, in 98 or 96.
Yeah, well, definitely
it came out
later
after
than
this game, but the aliens in Mars Attacks look like the aliens in this game.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Maybe they took it from the game and they put it in the movie. You know, who knows? But yeah, so that, you know, Robotron. He says that Robotron and Smash TV were inspirations on the game.
I mean, I could see Smash TV a little bit. I don't know where. I mean, I guess it's just, you know, it could be, you could just pull ideas from anything and just say, yeah, I was playing this and it made me came up with that. I mean, I don't really see the correlation too much between Robotron and this.
So you're running around a stage top down, and you got to save 10 neighbors, and there's items that you can get all around the stage. So there are different weapons, and then there's different items you can use to help you in the quest. So
Power-ups.
Sort of power-ups type of things. There's, you know, you start out with a standard water gun, but then you can get like soda bombs. It's actually, you know, a 6-pack
throwing the soda bombs
of sodas that you can throw like they're grenades. There's popsicles, right?
Yeah, what are the pops? I don't remember. Well, I guess we'll talk about the controller issue I had.
Oh, we can talk about that. So there's popsicles, there's plates and forks and knives, and you know, there's a rocket launcher.
The weed whacker.
There's a weed whacker, which is so key. You need that weed whacker when you fight the weeds. So there's those types of weapons, and then there are power-ups you can get, like speed shoes. You can get a potion that turns you into a beast. You can get health power-ups. You can get what else is? Oh, the decoy machine, or the decoy clowns,
the bopping,
which are really key.
Clown.
So you can put a decoy there, and the enemies will go after that
because they're dumb.
So you know you're getting in. Of course, there's keys, and you have to open certain doors to either get some of the neighbors if they're stuck there. You know, that's where I kind of see that gauntlet thing, where it's like you need these keys to open doors.
That's what I thought of.
And you're going through a maze. To me, this game is more gauntlet than it is anything else. That's how I see it. So, you know, and you and I, we're close, and so we do see a lot of the things.
Well,
the same way,
metaphorically.
You know, so in a hetero way.
Oh, is that where you were going with that?
I
just remember we're talking about video games.
Yeah. A platonic way. You know what I mean? So
I was thinking more an androgynous way.
Androgynous. That's not what we're talking. We're not weird at this point, right? Are we? This isn't weird, is it?
No, we're just talking about zombies.
Are you comfortable?
A little sore.
Yeah. So the enemies in this game too are really cool because you start off fighting zombies coming out of the ground.
The basic zombies.
You get your basic run of the mill green zombie, you know,
in slacks
in a bomber jacket.
Yeah.
And then you know you're actually fighting in the Terra and Isle 5 stage. You're fighting basically Chucky dolls.
Yeah, with the little he's got the butcher knife.
Yeah. And just I can't remember the voice.
He's like
he actually can light on fire, and then the actual like skeletal bones of the Chucky doll can actually like walk towards you and like slower.
Oh really?
Almost like Chucky when he lights on fire. There's a Jason-like figure he's carrying a chainsaw.
Yeah, and that
with the mask.
Can't really. Unfortunately, I had the issue where I can't really kill him with the water gun.
No, you got to use a soda bomb.
Yeah.
Or a rocket to and you can't kill him. You only can knock him down.
Got to throw a Mr. Pibb at him.
You got to throw the tab. You know, you got to throw a tab at him to knock him over. It's the diet soda that does him right. There's mummies in this game that are crawling after you, like in the pyramid level, which is one of my favorites. There's the aliens coming down. There's a giant baby boss at one point. There's a Tremors style worm on one of the levels that comes out. So you know, there's the fun thing about this game too is that every level is different. Like you're excited to get to that next level because you're like, what is next? You know, it's the same type of gameplay, but there's always something new.
Yeah, and then you even got the girls jumping on trampolines.
I love girls jumping on trampolines. It's like the Man Show.
It's the Man Show.
Right. And so there's so much variety. You get the mechanics, and it's like it's almost like
I mean, it's all the
it's
little
easy
things.
to get. It's easy to get, and then it's just go have some fun and go save the neighbors. What I find interesting too is there's this game plays differently whether you're playing 2-player or whether you're playing 1-player, because the screen doesn't split up like it does on modern games when you got 2 players, where each can go in their own way.
Yeah, so
you're working with that partner. If you're trying to stray off to one area,
you're restricted.
They're stuck. They can't kind of move. So you have to really work together. But at the same time, you're sort of competing for resources at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of points, I mean, you know, because you get like a bonus if you save more characters if you save more people on each level. You know, I mean, I guess that, I mean, but there's actually like a good amount of power ups. There's a lot of like hidden. There's a lot of hidden areas too, which is kind of cool. There's some that we found in the mummy level where you're just like walking and then all of a sudden, boom, you're just like walking down this secret and then you just end up with a whole bunch of power ups. Which is pretty cool. And like in those first levels outdoors, you're like just happen to just pop through some bushes, and then you're just finding extra lives or other power ups. Right.
Yeah. So this game did have a spiritual sequel, Herc's Adventure, which is on the PS1 and the
Herc's
Saturn.
Adventure?
Herc's Adventure. Yeah. It's like it's like a Greek mythology sort of style game.
But anyone that from this worked on that?
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it's a whole different game, but it's a spiritual successor. I mean, we have it here somewhere.
Yeah, and I know it sounded familiar on the Saturn.
So, this is... Oh, no, it is. This is a LucasArts game.
Oh, okay.
So it is. It's made by the same company. I don't believe this is made by Mike Ebert, though. I think this is a different team. But they basically took the same...
Have you ever even tried this one?
I've tried it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once you look at it... Well, of course... There's 4 screenshots of the game, and 2 of them are like cartoon clips.
Of course.
But one of them, one screenshot does have that Zombies Ate My Neighbors look to it. Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, definitely never played this one.
One of the things about this game that I think makes it sort of unique or sort of a beginning point. Of course, we've probably had other games that had resource management, but you really have to be careful as to what you're using and how much of it you're using. You can't focus on using one weapon necessarily for too long.
I think the only one you can do that with is probably the water gun.
The water gun, which is your standard thing, but you can't just run through with the weed whacker on everybody, because if you use that and then you come to an area where you have to get through the weed
those
enemy,
like piranha plants or whatever,
you're gonna die, or you're gonna suffer a lot of damage. So there's a lot of what is the right weapon for the scenario, which, you know, in hardcore gaming is where I pulled off a lot of information on the game, and they do it right here in their review of the game. But it's almost like it echoes into what would happen with Resident Evil with resource management and how much.
Hey, my friend, can you just turn that down?
Your volume. Everybody knows you're playing Streets of Rage. Everybody can hear you playing Streets of Rage, which we love, but it's got to stop.
You have to turn it all the way down, just a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. So it kind of it does remind you of that resource management of like a Resident Evil, where it's okay, well, I don't want to use my acid bomb ammo, napalm.
Resident Evil's to the extreme, you know.
Yeah, well, of resource management, yeah. But it kind of you kind of have that a little bit in this game, where it's like,
that's
even the keys. It's like, well, do I use a key on this door or do I not? You know, do I see what's in that cabinet, or do I just sort of let this whole area go? And look, you might have like a really special item in there, or it could just be nothing, and then now you've wasted that key on that item. The other thing too is once you get all of the neighbors and you've saved them, these 2 doors open up that you can go into to exit the level, but you don't have to exit the level.
You have the option.
Option to not leave and stay in the level. But we played this game before we recorded, and of course, what happened, Trent? I had saved 4 neighbors. I went out into the world after we had saved everybody to look for more items. And what happened?
And boom,
I died.
You died.
And that was your last life.
It
was my last life. So Trenton moved on to the next level, And how many neighbors were there that were left? Only the ones that he had saved.
Fortunately, there was only 3 left.
So that's like, that's another thing to know is, listen, if you're going to die, maybe at least get to the next level, and that way you'll have more, more neighbors for your partner to be able to.
So I guess in that, I mean, you don't really think about it before, and so I guess in that case, you'd probably in each level, you'd probably want to split the amount of
right
of
well, I had 4, you had 3, so
yeah, no, but I mean, if you're thinking about it beforehand, like you'd probably want to split the amount of people you save, because if you're on your last life and you've saved 6 and I've saved 1, and like you die,
right,
then I only have an opportunity to save 1 person.
Right. Mike has said that when they were focus testing the game, they didn't actually have a whole lot of time to do it. They only did it with 2 groups, and nobody got past level 15.
I mean, I believe it.
He said in the end he believes that there should have been some sort of battery save that people could just pick up their game with a whole new set of neighbors and just continue from there.
I'm assuming that's we're talking what was this
93.
So I mean, there are some games that have battery
late
saves,
93.
but I mean, I guess I don't think
it
it's
has
that,
a password save though, so
yeah.
you can always pick it up from whatever stage.
I don't think it's that huge of a game where a battery save is
no, because it has a
necessary,
password save, so you can always play a later level if you die on.
But is it one of those? Man, the passwords were always weird back then because
there's
it's
only
like
4 letters.
You could start in the game, but then you really wouldn't have some of the stuff that you had before.
No, but you've died at that point, so you just get new items.
Yeah.
Most of the levels have the items you need to beat that level in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can find the stuff that you actually need.
I mean, what is it? I think it's every 5 levels.
Yeah,
so that's kind of like an incentive, though.
Yeah, I kind of like that. And just
you don't not falling back on your battery save. Like, all right, well, whatever. I died. I'll just start where I left off.
But I've never actually played through. I never played it enough in a consistent manner to be able to say, okay, now I'm going to pick it up from this level. Now I'm going to pick it up from this level.
I haven't either.
I always play, and then I get to a certain level, and then I stop. And
that's one of our faults.
Right.
Is we don't finish the games.
That's it. So this would be a fun one to go back into. Oh, there's a creature from the Black Lagoon in here too, which is pretty neat. I think the graphics in this game are awesome.
Oh yeah.
For a 16-bit game,
it actually has like a lot of detail, like in the what is it? What the supermarket sweep level or whatever.
Terra and Aisle 5.
Yeah. Where you go through all the aisles.
There's so many things in it.
Yeah.
There's actually, even in the Genesis version, there's some transparency when you're picking your character. There's like that movie reel behind you.
Yeah.
And it's actually got like a transparent layer to it, and then there's another layer in back of the monsters that are you're going to be fighting against.
Right.
So the graphics in this just from all of the variety, right, and then all the detail in the variety, like the animation too. Like when you have the decoy and they start hitting the decoy, he starts popping back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it's all those things that add up that make a good game, like a great, or like
those are the sealing up the cracks type of things.
Yeah, that make it like everyone's like fondly remembers it, or they just know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
Like all the sound effects, like when you get like ow, like when you keep getting hit, and like all the sound effects in the game, it just kind of seals it up, as they say.
Yeah, it's one of those games that on its own is good, but when it has all of the atmosphere and the tones and the music, the eerie, the wee 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 wee, you start off the game and there's this massive line scroll going to and fro of the actual logo of Zombies Ate My Neighbors, kind of like line scrolling in slowly until it just stops on the actual title card. Which those are those little touches. It's just like, okay, there was so much love and care put into this game. This is something, and this game was actually like a side project. You think about that, the fact that it wasn't even like a mainline title. These guys were working on it sort of, off on their own. It wasn't like a big time thing. It was they only at first planned to make it for the Super Nintendo. And then they were like, okay, this is going to be a real deal game. We're going to make it for both.
We're going to pause our production on Rocket Knight Adventures and get this one out.
It kind of reminds me of like Mega Man 2. Like Mega Man 2 was a side project. They actually couldn't even work on that game during regular hours. Capcom would not let like
This is an after hours only game.
yeah, he would not let the main, I forget who the main guy on that game was, but they would not even let the team work on that during regular hours. They had to
Why
do
were
it
they
like after.
they were busting out so many other games?
They just, I think they just thought Mega Man was like a one and done. It was like, it was a decent game. It sold well, sort of, but it wasn't a game that they really wanted to necessarily go back to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were
Which
like,
is
well,
funny because that was the game that would be Capcom. I
to
guess
me,
would be known for that.
Capcom in the 8-bit era is Mega Man. I mean, that's when I think about my favorite games. Mega
They
Man.
made 6 of them.
Mega Man 2 might be in the top 2. I don't know, top 3 maybe.
Of what?
Nintendo games.
Oh, Nintendo games.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, if, like all Nintendo games for me. So I mean, I even at one point I had this delusion when I was like 6 years old that I was Mega Man.
Delusion.
Yeah. So I mean, we're not going to go into that because I had to speak to a counselor and took some correcting, but anyways,
I feel like one of your like passwords or something back in the day was Mega Man related or something.
It probably was. Yeah.
I think it was Sega Man. Or was that what it was?
Oh, Sega Man is mine on a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Still to this day, so it's good for everybody to know.
They want to hack into your Hotmail account.
One interesting thing, they thought that the game was going to be called Monsters to begin with, which would have been a terrible name. Just Monsters.
That's the name of an Atari game.
Yeah, Monsters, and then Monsters Ate My Neighbors, and then they ended up with Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Oh, well, I mean, if it was Monsters Ate My Neighbors, that would have.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have felt any different about it, I think.
Yeah. In Europe, the game is just called Zombies.
It's too offensive, I guess, to be Ate My Neighbors.
I guess so. Yeah.
Isn't that something like that? They have like very hard restrictions on titles and
like in Europe,
graphic content.
In Europe, they had to get rid of the chainsaw men.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
The chainsaws had to be changed to axes because chainsaws are offensive.
They were just sticks of butter.
Yeah, they were just.
But it would still have the
them.
But it would still have the chainsaw effect. But it was just a stick of butter.
So
quiet.
So the differences between the Genesis and the Super Nintendo game are really not that much. I mean,
would you say like the only difference that I see is you are exactly the same as you used to be.
We always go through at least one every episode with you. These are games that, we talked about like True Lies. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but we talked about True Lies a couple of podcasts ago, I think, where like the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version are by and large pretty much the same game.
Yeah.
Like you can play it on either one and have fun. Zombies Eat My Neighbors is very much the same. You can play it on either system. They're both really, really good. The only difference is because of the resolution, which we talk about all the time.
The aspect.
Yeah. So the SNES is, because they didn't want it to be stretched. They had to use all the screen resolution. They could not have a dedicated spot
Caramello.
They could not have a dedicated spot for the
HUD?
the map to be able to show
where
the
wait, so there is there no map?
You have to toggle it with the L and R button.
Pull it in.
You have to either put it in. Honestly,
that's fine.
It's okay, but if you don't have it on, and it's a lot of times you'll see that one little blip kind of go by the side of the screen. You'll be like, oh, I know there's a person down there in the Genesis version.
Yeah.
So you'll be like, okay, let me go back down. If you don't have that up, and it's in the middle of the, if it's because it's in the middle of the screen, you don't want that up when there's a lot of action going on.
No,
so,
I got you.
It's not a big deal because you can always just toggle that sucker on when you're
toggle that sucker on.
Yeah, when you're kind of running through and you're not being attacked. But the fact that it's on the screen with the Genesis, I kind of like having that. But the other thing too is that the less of the screen actually has graphics, which it's like, okay, well, the resolution is better, so you get all that information in one area, but it's also less of the screen. So you can argue, well, I'd rather have the Super Nintendo screen where it's at least the whole thing.
Yeah, now we're talking minutia.
But I guess that can be arguable. The producer of the game, the guy who made the game, likes the Genesis version, but I think he's, like he said, even too, like, the SNES has more color, so you can. They can do a little bit more things with color on the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah, I mean, that's That's the one I had originally played on. Was a Super Nintendo version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that was I was like 9. So any small, minute detail differences would just it had no relevance.
Like Kevin Hart would say, it don't matter.
Yeah, no relevance to the fun.
So this game came out in September of '93 on the Super Nintendo. It came out on
Which
the
is
Genesis.
perfect. Right before Halloween,
Absolutely, but it came out for the Genesis
in January
in November of '93.
November. Oh, okay.
So it was,
maybe that's why I played the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah, if you had like that taste in your mouth still of like
pause
of Halloween, you were still chomping on the candy, you might see that game as a Genesis player and say, oh, I actually want to play this. I've heard how good it is. So, EGM reviewed both copies. Any guesses on what they would have scored it? I don't have the the literature as far as what they said about it, but
I know it's a classic,
right?
And everyone liked it at the time, so I would say, did they do points? Like, did they do like 0.7s, 0.6s, or was it full numbers? I'm just gonna say like
I'm just gonna tell you it was full numbers.
Okay, so it's
but they did have points.
It's probably 8s across the board and maybe a 9 in it, like 3 8s and a 9.
Okay, which version? Because there's two versions. There's a Super Nintendo that came out in September.
Oh, I would say it would be. I think it would be equally.
And the Genesis was in November. They reviewed them separately. So they reviewed the Super Nintendo one first, and then they reviewed the Genesis one second.
All right. Well, since they weren't comparing them at the same time, I would say the Super Nintendo one. I still think they both have the same grades, 8s and 9s, and I think the Genesis
3 8s and a 9.
Yeah, and I think the Genesis would be 2 8s and 2 9s.
So the Super Nintendo, as Anthony Norshow would say, 9s across the board.
Okay, that's fine.
9s across the board. The Genesis, 1 9, 3 8s.
So I said 2 8s and 2 9s.
Yeah. At first you said 3 8s and 1 9, but
yeah, I figured they might have.
You were
downgraded it.
Damn close.
Just a smidge.
But this is what they did back in the day. So just a little bit of context is that when a magazine would review a game, if they had to review it twice, generally they would downgrade the score a little bit because
it came out later.
Because it came out later, so they would give it less. They would give it less of a.
It'd be the excuses like, well, if you already have it on Super Nintendo, there's no reason to own this
There's
version.
no reason to own this version, so we're gonna knock it back a little bit. Or somebody might have taken issue with part of the screen having all of the HUD information,
which I mean is understandable, but I mean in terms of the actual game, it really doesn't have an effect on it.
It doesn't really matter if you want to say this game's in 8s and 9s.
But if you want to be intellectually honest,
right? If you do, well, I think we have that hindsight now to be able to say, no matter which version you play, you're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
And this is going to be an awesome game any way that you can play it.
Marginal differences.
Do you know how much this game goes for now?
I want to say it's actually like in terms of games that you would think would be really
Super
expensive.
Nintendo loose, Genesis. If we could do kind of complete.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I believe it's still in like a
$50 range.
Yeah, I think loose on the Super Nintendo might not even be that much. It's probably $30-$40. And loose, I think it's still the same on the Genesis. I would say complete is probably more expensive on the Super Nintendo because it's the cardboard box and everything.
Maybe 80 to 100.
Yeah, it could be. Could be 70. I mean, I'll check it, but I don't think it's crazy like expensive. You know how some Konami games can be. Mm-hmm. But it's worth whatever it is. Is worth it because it's a game you can play through once and then pop it open again in a few months and play it again. Especially because there's so many secrets too. Like when you get that skeleton key.
Yeah, so you can get a skeleton key, and of course I should have known this before we recorded, but I think that you can find like a secret exit to get to, and I could be completely wrong, but it kind of lends itself to that where you could get the skeleton key if you find it and get to that bonus stage, which in the first level is Day of the Tentacle. But yeah, there's just it's just one of those games where. We talk about the rotation game where you just kind of put it every once in a while. I think this game is even a step up from that. I think when you think about 16-bit classics and you think about that upper echelon of just games all told. I kind of think that Zombies Ate My Neighbors is in the upper echelon of games, partially due to the fact of how unique it is and the flair that it brings to the table, the atmosphere, and you could tell how much fun the producers had making this game, and it's just so much fun. Especially the fact that you can play it 2-player with a friend, and
I mean, yeah, that's what takes it over the top.
But it never gets old. This game never gets old to me.
Yeah, it's like Streets of Rage. You could beat it 100 times and it's almost just as fun as like the first time you played it. If you're playing with 2 people,
Right. But it's a game that anybody can play. Like anybody can pick this game up and just start having a great time. But the quality, like it just exudes quality. This game
exudes.
It really does. Like this is one of my favorite 16-bit games.
Wow, that's a big stamp.
Well, I make a lot of big statements on this podcast.
I just say things.
I do say a lot, but I mean, it's one of the reasons why I sought out for this, for the case, because I've owned the loose disc for so long that I really wanted to put this. I just really what did I say?
You said disc, but that's
disc.
fine.
Cartridge.
Yeah.
So I've really wanted the case for so long, and I actually hunted down the cover art. So just so that I could actually display it, but it really is a very, very special game in the 16-bit annals of time, and especially because it is just there's nothing like this game. I mean, you could talk about your favorite shooters, you could talk about your favorite side-scrolling action games, your favorite platformers. There's really nothing like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and it's on par with the Rocket Knight adventures in terms of quality. It's on par with the Sonics.
It was that 90s Konami quality.
It really was, and it wasn't a Konami game.
Well, yeah, I got you.
But somewhere Konami must have known like this is a Konami game. Like it's not made by Konami, but this is.
But it literally has the Konami feel to it.
It really does. I've always thought that it was a Konami game.
Yeah, I literally didn't know. Like, well, I'm sure I knew when I played it.
In like when it's loading up, you see LucasArts every time.
Yeah,
but you don't even think about it.
Yeah, because it does the Konami logo first, and then you just breeze by the logo, LucasArts, and you just press start.
Just go, get me in the game.
Yeah, the Konami logo. We're like, oh, it's Konami. We're good.
Yeah. So. And so it begs the question, what are some of our favorite Halloween games? We may have mentioned this last Halloween. I haven't watched that episode.
Yeah, we could just say it every Halloween, but it doesn't matter, because by a year goes by and everyone's already forgot.
My favorite Halloween game, I it's hard for me not to say it, and I don't play a whole lot of horror games now, but it's Resident Evil 2.
The second one, all right.
Yeah, it's the first horror themed game that I actually ever played. And it was a very special game. It still is. If you talk to a lot of retro gamers, when they talk about the horror genre, Resident Evil 1 was amazing, and it still is. I love that game. Resident Evil 2 was...
It just made it even better.
It just made it that much better, and, the story was that much larger. Being in that police station, the G virus and the different places you went... the fact that you could play as the 2 different characters and they each had their own story. It wasn't just a difficulty. You actually had, in order to beat that game, you had to play both sides of the disc. You had to play Claire's story, and you had to beat Leon's story.
Yeah, that's
to get
just one I've never played through.
Right. So we'll probably
still on the hunt for the 64 version.
Great version. Great version. We'll have to talk about that maybe next Halloween. So that's my favorite game. What's your favorite Halloween game, Trent?
Favorite Halloween game. I mean, I want to say
horror.
No, yeah. No, I do. I want to say Resident Evil.
One.
Yeah. The first one. Yeah. I mean, we talked. I mean, when did we do that episode? 2-3 years ago. The Resident Evil one.
It was a year and a half ago.
Because that's just the first time playing.
You want to do it again?
We're just gonna do the whole episode over. It's just like the first time playing that game. I don't know how to unless you lived in that time and when that game came out.
The first game I saw and played on PlayStation 1.
Yeah, it's hard to describe that feeling of playing Resident Evil for the first time, especially when you're that age, when you're balls deep in video games. Where it's like your life.
It wasn't like we played Mortal Kombat 3 and it was like, oh, this is the next level of gaming. It's like, no, this is the next level of gaming.
Where you were like, you would literally get that jump scare. You know, that first time going through that hallway where you're going, and all of a sudden the wolves
dog,
jump through the glass
rabid
window,
dog.
and you're just like freaking out. You got to spin around.
Well,
and
I told that story about how Brian Haushold was like,
I know,
yeah, take the controller, just walk forward. No, there's nothing. Oh, you're fine.
That's what I'm saying. There was nothing ever like that.
I dropped the
that.
controller on the ground.
Yeah. Or just, you know, when you walk into that first level and the zombies eating the brain, he's like, and just spins around. It's like,
it is a very, very special game.
And then I just want to say, like, in terms of like the only time I would probably play it was the one we did last Halloween, which was the Friday the 13th game. I know you don't like it, but it's just kind of like a fun game where you're like, if it's the Halloween season, you're like, yeah, let's just pop this in just to play for a little bit.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have. What about? I don't have a problem with that because I remember Adam Shaw brought that over our house, and it was a special game for the special time of year. It's not great, but you know what? You put it in for 15, 20 minutes, just have some fun with it, reminisce.
And then, not that it's a particularly good game.
Poltergeist.
No, but it would be the original Addams Family on the Nintendo. I don't know if you ever played that one. No, but that's like, I used to play it at Justin Donato's house. He had it, and we'd play it a lot. But I don't know if it was one of those games when you're young, you don't know it's a bad game, or if it's just really difficult.
Right.
So I'm sure if I played it now, you'd be like, well, this is terrible.
Maybe.
But it's an honorable mention because
not.
I have that memory of playing it. Oh, and one more.
Oh, we can talk about some of our favorites.
I think the last one would be Maniac Mansion. That was another one that he had too that we would play. I think that's like,
I don't understand that game though.
No, I know, but I think it's like
how would you understand it at that age?
I know, but I still think it's like the definition of like a Halloween game. It's not scary per se, but it just has that like Halloween kind of theme to it, but not Halloween. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
Oh man, I just
kind of creepy, spooky.
So my mind's racing a little bit, and I forgot about obviously a great game that most people don't know about on the Genesis was The Haunting featuring Poltergeist.
That's what I just said.
Oh, you saw Poltergeist. Oh,
Poltergeist.
Okay. Yeah. Now that would be the ultimate
is that
Halloween
like Casper
game.
Or something like that?
I don't. Gotta have Casper. I don't know if it plays like. I know The Haunting
starring
Poltergeist
Wednesday Addams.
Is you're in a house and you're the ghost and you're haunting the other people, so you jump into random items and try to scare the people out of the house. I don't know if that's how the Casper game plays.
No, I think you're Casper and you're just running around.
you're just a ghost
looking for stuff.
Bounce that ghost.
Yeah. I mean, for me, a lot of the 16-bit games, there wasn't a whole lot of that. You know, I mean, it almost seemed like maybe there was more for the Nintendo. I gotta mention Splatterhouse and Splatterhouse 2.
Oh,
I mean, those are similar games in the way that they are more than the sum of their parts. You know, the Splatterhouse games have such atmosphere that there's not a whole lot going on with the gameplay, but because Namco did such a good job of building this game up with the story, the sound effects, the eeriness, it makes the game more than the sum of its parts. That's how I feel about Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Is this game is bigger than what it actually is, which shows how great of a job these people did making this game. So, that's another one for me. I would say the other one for me is Legacy of Kain and Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. One of the other first games that I saw on the PlayStation. It was literally the same night I saw, the Hausel boys must have just loved horror games because they had Resident Evil and they had Legacy of Kain, the original, which was almost like a Zelda-like, where you're kind of going through places and mazes and opening things and unlocking stuff and going through challenge rooms and but a game that has an ominous sort of atmosphere and the story where this guy gets crucified and then brought back to life as a vampire, and then the whole story of Soul Reaver where Raziel gets risen from the dead, and then that whole story arc of him and Kain going back and forth. Just iconic games. Soul Reaver, which was a marvel for the PlayStation 1 in terms of it actually being produced and made on that PlayStation 1, and then I remember the Dreamcast port, which made me want to buy that game at a kiosk in Babbage's. or it might have been GameStop at the time, and you see Raziel look up when he's got his face cover, and it's actually stretching with where he's going, and the graphical fidelity that they were able to create, and it made that game more than it was, and that's another Zelda-like 3D Zelda-like game. So, those are the games that I think of when I really think of Halloween, and I think of the Halloween games that are special to me. I think those are really, really big for me. In some cases, Alone in the Dark 1, is a special game.
Nah.
But it's only because I played it very, very early on, and it was the first time I had like a jump scare. But I really think of Legacy of Kain, Splatterhouse, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Those are the games that you remember back in the day in that 16-bit sort of 32-bit era, that even 128-bit era if you think about the Dreamcast. Ooh. Yeah, but those are the games that I really think of fondly when I think of Halloween games.
It's a spooky, scary time.
Yeah, I'm sure there's definitely more. But
we don't have enough time.
Those are the ones coming off the top of the head. So
we're out of time. It's Sting. We're out of time.
Oh man, Sting. He's kind of a horror game in and of himself. I know. He makes WCW NWO Revenge a horror game. That intro.
Oh yeah, with the truck.
Where he's got that crow style with the rain coming down.
And you got the truck driver. He's like,
yeah.
huh? It's like has nothing to do with wrestling. Why is Sting out in the middle of the road and there's a truck driver about to run him over?
Because it creates the atmosphere, baby. You're playing a real deal game. So, right. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this. We'd love to hear some of the horror themed games that you guys have loved growing up.
Please, anyone, just leave a comment. Anything.
Let us know. Let us know what you guys were into.
Thumbs up, a thumbs down.
Yeah, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. Let us know what you guys
or just unsubscribe. We just want some action.
Yeah, any kind of stimulus would be good, even if you break up with us. But yeah, we're the Turbo Duo, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and the holidays are coming, so we hopefully will be back with some more content for you guys, some more episodes, and we'll be having a Christmas episode as well. We also have RWX. We've got the Retro World Expo coming up, finally coming back.
The return.
So we're excited to get back in action there. We'll probably have a pickups video for you guys after that. What's the date for that?
Oh, most definitely.
It's November
6th.
November 6th. So that's coming up. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And
real horde.
Yeah, we might even throw up an episode right after this one, actually, for that. For pickups for that for that day. So boom. So be on the lookout, guys. Hopefully you're having a great day. Be safe, be happy, be healthy. Know that everything positive comes from above
and sometimes below.
And as always, keep it turbo.
And your little cat too.